Alrighty, welcome and welcome back to the show. This is Real Reality Realness. I am Brian K. James, and I put the mess in the message. I am so excited to have this person on the show today. They're a recording artist, and I cannot wait to get to know them better. Ladies, gentlemen, and every gender or lack thereof in between, join me in welcoming to the show, Don YC. How are you feeling?
I'm doing great, and thanks for having me. I really appreciate you bringing me on the show.
Of course, anytime, anytime. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you taking my call.
Absolutely.
So, what are you most looking forward to from this year so far?
This year so far, it's gonna be a tough year, no doubt. Being an independent artist, you got to put a lot of money into your craft, thousands and thousands of dollars. Number one, I'm looking to drop an album in the summer, late June. In between that time, I'm gonna drop singles, get the fans what they need. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm just trying to grow my fan base organically. I'm not looking for any fake streams, any bots. I'm trying to connect with real people just like yourself. And that's why I'm happy and I'm lucky you brought me on because I needed this, for my brand to reach out to those fans that didn't know I exist. I'm from Oklahoma, a small town named Spencer. And I'm just looking to do a lot of things this year, mostly music videos. I'm writing a book, all that stuff.
Very nice. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Of course. What do you think you're most looking forward to leaving behind in 2022?
Um, I want to leave a print. I want to leave a print to say he's independent, he's smart, he's brilliant, and he did it without any big label. He did it without any big help from any big artist, any big feature. I just want to get it. I want to get it on my own for right now. I want people to understand that I put a lot of dedication and hard work into my craft. And it's not about money. It's not about fame with me. It's about the love of music. I want people to understand when they listen to my music, it's about the craft and the love, the structure of a song. It's not all about bang, bang, shoot them up, kill them. I'm talking about love. I'm talking about relationships. I'm talking about my upbringings. I'm talking about my life. I want people to know me after 2023. That's what I'm looking to leave behind.
Very nice. When did you discover music?
I discovered music probably about the third grade. There was a lot of stuff going on around me. Cousins selling drugs, brothers selling drugs, going to prison. Mom's working two jobs. Pop was in prison. I got a twin brother. My mom's was a single mom. So being at home all the time by ourselves, having to walk home from the bus stop by ourselves, I was introduced to poetry. I started doing poetry in the third grade. About the middle of that year, going into my fourth grade year, and it's crazy. I remember this. This is elementary. I started writing rhymes, and I mean, tell you the truth, I wasn't good at it, but I love music. And the thing that got me over the top, it was two things that got me over the top. That was a movie called Hustle and Flow with Terrence Howard and Get Rich or Die Trying by 50 Cent. That just looking at the upbringings and how they was recording music and what they were doing and what I was doing. By the time I got to about the fifth to sixth grade, I realized this is what I wanted to do. So they motivated me. Those movies motivated me to say, here's a messed up background, but you can make it in this music industry. And it just pushed me. That's what motivated me, honestly.
That's awesome. Do you remember what your first 16 bars were about?
As a young kid, it's probably about sex. Probably about trying to, impress a girl. It wasn't necessarily about sex, but it was probably more of on some horny shit, like on some trying to impress a female. You look cute, you got a big butt, stuff like that. But that probably came around maybe about seventh grade that I can remember. Anything before like the seventh to eighth grade, it's just little rhymes. But like my first true 16 was like about a female. It's always over a female at the end of the day, right?
Of course. I love that. Can you describe the moment that you knew that you were talented?
Um, Okay, so first thing, I'm gonna tell you about the moment when I knew I wasn't the most talented in the room. I think it was about ninth grade year. I was starting out high school at Spencer High School. I had a group with me. We had Young Dash, King Dro. We had a dude named Dallas. You know, he's from Dallas, but he was in Oklahoma, so we call him Dallas. And we all had this little group, and we all used to rap. We used to record on the computer. I think we was using a software called Audacity. And when I tell you, I won't say I was the wackest, but I had the weakest bars. And everybody used to kind of, when they was writing their lyrics, they used to kind of like look at me like, hey man, you better bring it. You better bring it. Cause you know, I wasn't really as good as I thought I was, but surrounding myself around really talented artists like King Dro, which is a lyricist, it pushed me and helped me become the artist I am now. And years later, like my senior year, I was better than all those artists. No disrespect. I was better than all those artists, and they realized it. And those artists is no longer rapping anymore. And they still call me to this day and push me and say, keep doing your thing, man. You done grew a lot. So about my senior year, after I graduated high school, I started, you know, going to the studio, doing stuff. And just, I started getting recognition around the city. I started doing shows. And people started telling me like, hey, man, you really got this. You should start doing it. So that's really when I knew that I had something, is when my peers around me that who didn't believe that I was really that good lyrically starting out at some point was like, hey, you officially have arrived. So it was about my senior year.
Okay, nice. So until that point when you actually did become good at rapping, do you think that your dreams of wanting to do music were nurtured, or did you have to be your own cheerleader to get yourself to that point?
Well, yeah, in Oklahoma, you got to be your own cheerleader because, you know, you name a big artist from Oklahoma, you know, so
Don YC?
you see what I'm saying? So there has to be, appreciate that, but there was no support system in the city. There's no real backing. There's no real music industry or atmosphere or culture. There's no real music culture. So you really have to stay on it. So we looked at places like Dallas, Louisiana with the little Boosie. We looked at the little Flips. We looked at the Mike Jones. You know, those are places that Oklahoma that we looked at and said, if they doing it and they only just 2-3 hours away, why can't we do it? You know, that's the kind of attitude that you got to have. So no, I had to be my own cheerleader. I had to look at this industry and say, I got to make it. I can't wait on anybody else to say, oh, you good now. I didn't already had that. So after I graduated, you know, in 2013, ever since then, I had to do it on my own. And I'm going to be honest with you, it wasn't easy. It was hard. But I'm going to tell you this, since the internet has blown up, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, we got Apple campaigns, Spotify campaigns, YouTube advertisement, we got Facebook advertisement. I said, hell, well, shit, I got money. Won't I put my money behind my music? Because before all of that, before the Spotify, before all the streaming, it was kind of like word to mouth, more like CDs and more like you got to get discovered and get on this big radio station. But now radio stations they are going away. You got the podcast, like your podcast. Much respect to your podcast. We got all these podcasts and we got all these streaming services where if I just put some money to it, it generate organic streams, organic views, people coming over to see what you're about. So the internet really is what got me back into music and doing music really heavy. And we have a lot of artists who have moved out of Oklahoma to the Los Angeles, the Atlantas, the Houstons, so they can jumpstart their career. Whereas me, I'm in Oklahoma. I said, I don't need to move. I got bread. I can put my money behind the internet and let the rest do its job because I have the talent. It's not about if you have talent. You can be the best rapper in the room, but if nobody is going to hear that song, hear that album, it's irrelevant. So I looked at it like I need to get my music in front of as much people as I can to make it. So yeah, I'm my own cheerleader.
100%. And I definitely think you have one of the most optimistic and movement minded type of progressions. I think that that's kind of what the people or the people of the next generation are going to need in order to make themselves hot, because labels are taking pieces of everything, and there's no such thing as a deal without a 360 anymore, unless you're coming in with basically your own imprint and your own brand and your own hit record already. Like, you got to come in with so much leverage to keep retention of your own work nowadays. It makes more sense just to be your own label and and just build your own budget. If you got it, put it behind yourself. It's very
Well,
smart.
let me hit on that. The thing about that is, with the new generation that's coming up, even my generation and the new generation, is we are starting to realize in the Uber era, do it yourself. You can be your own contractor. You can be your own record label. You can be your own movement. As long as you have the following, whether that's TikTok, whether that's Instagram, whether that's Facebook, you can create your own movement and create a great situation for yourself. Artists like Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace. Artists like Russ, artists like Sauce Walker, artists like the guy that died in Memphis. I can't remember his name. But rest in peace to him, Young Dolph. Yeah, Young Dolph, who had their movements, who were booking their own shows. They had help, obviously, they got a team, but they really didn't need that big label per se. Everything is do it yourself now. Everything. And that's what I want to do. But I'll be naive to sit here and say that that a big label can't do nothing for you. Would I personally do a 360? It honestly depends on the upfront cash. But then you got to also look at, do I want to own my music? Or do I not want to own my music? Or do I want to give away these rights to this particular, let's say 4 albums, the startup did 4 albums. We want 4 albums. Okay, I'm going to give you the rights to these 4 albums. But after this contract, I'm going to go independent. Something like an NBA Youngboy, right? Which is a smart move. You take the machine, you take the giant, and you build yourself up, and then you go independent. And that's why you hear a lot of these, these podcasters. You see like Joe Budden, you see a lot of these DJ academics. They say, man, if Drake ever go independent, he gonna hurt the system. Because if Drake was to ever go independent and all these other artists say, well, let me go independent, then what are the record labels for? Distribution? Well, we already got that through Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud. We already have the distribution. And now at that point, the artists will just be signing publishing deals with distributors. But the record label, they gonna have they saying that. But I'm just saying, as an artist, you got to look at both sides. Do I want to be independent, or do I want to sign to the majors? Do I want to start with the majors, and do I want to end up independent, or do I want to be somewhere in the middle where I have a publishing deal? So that's all that is, and that's when you hit on that 360. I'm not really a fan of 360s, but 360s for the record label makes sense because they're putting all this money into you. They're building your brand. They're building your image. They're building your likeness. So if opportunities come with that, then they should see some benefit. Let me give you an example on why I believe that. You take someone like Blueface, right? Christian rock. But what is Blueface telling his manager, Whack 100, if you keeping up? He basically saying, I really don't want to rap no more. I'm really not into it like that no more. He's doing like TV shows with his girlfriend. And who's going to hurt behind that? His manager, the people that was in his music corner, that was in his music business. The record label who had signed him is going to hurt by him saying stuff like, oh, I really don't want to rap no more. I'm gonna go do this stuff and do that. So now they done lost their investment because he don't want to feel the obligation of the deal. So that's why 360s protect businesses. To me, I'm not really into the 360s, but I understand it. And that's the example I give you.
I understand that for sure, because in these situations where we're in a atmosphere where people aren't doing music for the love of music, they're doing music for the alleged quick bag of it all.
Right.
And it's not something that people like. People don't get into rap today to be into it 20, 30 years, from now. People don't get into rap to have legacies. They get into rap to have chains, a couple plaques, if they even care that much about the album going platinum, because they just care about the coins
Right.
that come from the streams. They care about getting the shows. They care about setting up a new avenue for themselves to do something so they ain't got to work a 9 to 5, which is cool. No diss to none of y'all. But the problem is it ruins the the authenticity of the hip hop culture. But we'll get into that later. But from a business perspective, it does make perfect sense because, well, if your music just ain't selling, but you have a cult fan base that's going to buy concert tickets and buy merch, or if you just have a good personality that works on reality TV,
Mm-hmm.
or if you have a popping YouTube channel.
Right. They can capitalize on that, which is fair because people think that music really makes a lot of money as far as streams. I believe for like a million streams, it's like $4,500 for a million streams. But $4,500 to some of these artists that's living these lifestyles, 4,500 is not a lot of money. So they get their money through publishing. They get that pub money quarterly. They get some royalty money quarterly. They do performances and shows and appearances. Maybe you have a book deal, might have a merch deal. But that's how the artists normally make their money. And these record labels, man, I don't know what they're going to do, but I know at some point they're going to start getting aggressive because these artists is finding out ways to make money. Even with being on a deal, they're finding out how to make money through OnlyFans and stuff like that. You take like artists like The Game, right? When the pandemic hit, he started OnlyFans, was making money, you know? So how does the record label get that kind of money, you know, when you're talking directly to the fans and have a subscription base and it's subscription based? How does the record label get into that bag? I don't know. Maybe they get aggressive.
Especially when you talk about these artists and these labels like Atlantic who go and sign people off of being viral, like a Bad Baby, for example, who, when's the last time you heard a Bad Baby song?
I heard one a while ago and it was all right. I mean, no disrespect.
No disrespect to her, but to that point, she's making millions, plural, millions of dollars per month on OnlyFans.
Getting that bag.
She's getting bags
Oh, yeah.
on OnlyFans. I ain't heard a Bad Baby song in years.
Yeah,
But she is out here the biggest thing on OnlyFans, though. So Atlantic is probably real tight right now. Cause she's out here cashed out. She got a whole new face, whole new body. She's out here done. She ain't gotta make music no more.
Probably not.
But now, what does that contract with Atlantic look like?
We don't know, depending on what the contract looked like. See, the thing about that is you got to look at a record label's perspective. They probably looked at this girl like, we can make some money off of her. We might she might be on the 360. I don't know. Do you put somebody?
I feel like it would be smart because I feel like they probably thought she's probably not going to have a long career. So we'll sign her for, whatever. She's not gonna do much. So we'll throw her in a seat 360. She'll probably never complete these 4 albums, but she'll be off doing shows, doing reality TV, doing this, doing that, doing brand deals, off in here, popping, doing collaborations, Fashion Nova, all the things that the girls be out here doing, Flat Tummy Tea, all of that. So we can continue to eat off of her for either the continuation of this deal for the years that we sign her or for the completion of these albums, whichever one comes first. Either way, we're going to be getting something off of her. And they probably are doing the most minimal promotion with her. So they probably don't have a high overhead with Bad Baby because she ain't making no music. So what is there for her to promote? Like all they need to put behind her is her Instagram.
Right. And she's not losing money. And that's the thing about these 360 deals. When someone blows up over here, let's say like a Ray J, One Wish, and then go into the reality.
That's a hell of an example.
The reality shows start making money. They may see a percentage. I don't know if they see a percentage, but let's say that the record label did make a percentage off of Bad Barbie. What's her name? Bad Baddie? That's the one that it says
Bad
Catch Me
baby.
Outside, right? Catch Me Outside.
Yes.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we make a certain percentage off of that, and we call these people the cash cows in a record label, like a Kanye West.
Mm-hmm.
The artist is paying for 20 other artists, so that's why the record deal, the record labels do those type of deals, because you have this one artist like a Little Baby who will pay for all these other artists that they're trying to break, that they're trying to break a song or break an artist. They're using that revenue to break these artists, which is a smart business model. But a lot of artists is realizing I can get this by myself. I can get this on my own. Let's say like a Glorilla, right? Let's use her as an example.
Sure.
Do I think she should have signed to Yo Gotti and CMG? No, because where her song was, just by booking her own shows alone, she probably would have made more money than she is now. Now, I'm pretty sure she's packing out shows. She's been taken care of. Shout out to Yo Gotti. He does his thing. His whole team over there is lit. I respect them. But if you take her situation, she should have started booking first. And I listened to her story where her and a producer was going back and forth. They were going to record labels. They were pitching. They were trying to get a deal. That's not where they should have started. The song was already hot. You should have started booking your shows. Once you start booking your shows and you start making that $30,000, $40,000 bag per night, then it goes up to 67, maybe $100,000 bag a night. Next time you go in, if you do want a record deal, now you got leverage. You like, hey, I'm making $100,000 a show. Then y'all trying to give me a $900,000 bonus or a sign on? No, I need $5 million, and I want to keep my performance rights. So these independent artists, they need to realize sometimes that record deal initially might not be the best thing for you. You might need to take your chances, because if they're looking at you and they want you, you got a song that's popular, is blowing up, is on Spotify playlist. You might need to kind of take a deep breath, relax, because whatever you're doing is working. So what I would say, try to book a show first. However that go, then you might have leverage. But some people, they might be struggling, and they see that bag and they be like, nah, let me go ahead and sign. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of that speaks to the artist's intentions on what they want out of the music industry. Do you want to build a long lasting, imprint for yourself? Do you want to build your own label, build your own business, build something that's going to create revenue for you in your sleep, even when you don't feel like rapping? Or are you trying to jump in, get a quick bag while you hot, max out those viral numbers while popping on TikTok this week and, throw a song out there, grab a bag and hit it? Yeah, I guess it all speaks to what you want to get from the industry and what you can finesse for yourself while you're here. It's definitely an interesting conversation to have, because I think that some people, if you look at what they're trying to do in the industry, don't even need to be doing as much as they're doing, because it's like you don't even plan on being here that long. Like, you don't even plan on being here for 2 years. Like, go ahead and max out on your viral TikTok and going on about your business. You don't got to sign a deal for all that. Go ahead and just get you a manager, book your shows, book your things, and going on about your business. Like, you don't got to do all that.
Because those type of people normally end up in the red. They end up in the red. They end up in debt.
Owing labels, can't recoup. Now you stuck. And you walk around here looking like Ned in the face because you got a $200,000 chain on and you $500,000 in debt to your label.
Yeah, and then years down the line, you might try to go solo and the song blow up, and they like, no, we on the right. Yeah, so it depends, man. Because to me, it's hard to tell someone. You know how hard it is to tell someone who's on TikTok that has a song and it blows up, and a record label say, hey, we're going to do this for you. It's hard for me to tell them not to take that. I mean, it's really hard. I mean, considering some of these kids is college students, some of them probably living in really bad conditions, but they on TikTok every day. They got a brand, they got a face, they got a following, and boom, a song blow up, and now they rich overnight. You know, do we tell them not to explore, or do we say, no, don't do that? Don't take that money from the record label, because they're just trying to exploit your TikTok following, your Instagram following. They're just trying to capitalize on that. I don't know. It's 50-50 with me. I just let people be who they are, but it's certainly messing up the game. And I'm not trying to show any disrespect, but when you
Sure.
got like Sweetie and artists like that I listened to a new album and I wasn't impressed. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm just like, rap is not for everybody.
It's
Rap,
not. But people like her are people that I'm talking about. And you know, listen, nothing that I say is of any disrespect, but it's of like they're informed opinions. At the end of the day, you can tell when somebody is serious about music and when they're not. Sweetie is not serious about music and it shows. We all see that. Her music has gotten worse as she's been out
oh
because
yeah.
she's genre hopping, she's trend hopping, she's trying to do whatever's popping right now. And so whoever get a hot song, she's just chasing whatever Doja's chasing. Like like Doja rapping, so she gonna rap. Doja singing this week, she gonna sing. She doing pop this week, I'm gonna do pop. Doja doing an up tempo, we gonna do an up tempo. It seems like she's following every trend that Doja hops on, but nobody's having that conversation yet. So I kind of been keeping that to myself.
Oh
Oops.
yeah. But it's that
But
those is pretty decent to me. I'm
Doja's
not.
incredible, but I think Doja's an actual artist who puts
Oh yeah.
actual work into her music. I think Sweetie is someone who happens to have a good delivery and have enough talent to carry a song, but I think she is what it is. Like it's pretty bitch music. She's not here for rap. She's not here to do music, and we can tell because her music consistently gets worse because she can't pick a lane and stick to it. Like it's not even like you have an established sound and you're trying different things just to explore sounds and like broaden your space. It's like you came in doing remix. We love samples. We love Too Short. Shout out to Too Short. Shout out to all the people that she does sample. Kaya, all the girls. Shout out to all y'all. But how many Sweetie songs do you like with original music?
Yeah. Outside of Nicki Minaj, uh I really don't listen to a lot of female artists. I listen to a lot of old female artists like a Missy Elliott, a Eve. Um,
Absolutely.
you know, I listen to a lot of those Lil Kims. I like old school rap, period. I don't listen to a lot of new rap. Although I am a rapper, I don't listen to rap at all like that, really. I'm a R&B kind of guy. Like I listen to R&B. I like my artists is like Lloyd, Chris Brown, Vito, um, uh, Billinger. Like I listen to R&B, and to any artist, I mean, to each his own. But for me, it keeps my ear fresh when I'm listening to R&B, and it also helps with your writing structure as a rapper because you're not always listening to the T Grizzlies, the Lil Durks, the Lil Babies, the Drakes, the Waynes, and you constantly consuming this rap. So whenever it's time for you to go write your stuff, it's kind of like, what is my sound? If you have a sound. So I want my sound to be authentic. So I listen to a bunch of R&B. I listen to a lot of old school R&B, a lot of soul, a lot of pop. Um, and that's where my sound come from. If you listen to some of my songs, I got some hard stuff, and then I got some soft stuff, and I just want to make my name on that, and like they can listen and be like, yeah, that's a Don YC track. That's definitely Don YC. But I don't want people to listen and be like, who is that rapper? Oh, that's Don YC. Oh, no, that can't be him. But you know what my sound like because I'm not pulling from all these different sounds. Because I listen to a lot of independent artists too, And it sounds like they pulling from a lot of different artists. And I'm like, that don't sound right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's because the society or the culture of hip hop nowadays isn't based on individuality. It's based on maximizing on trends. So if a sound is popping right now, everybody has to get their record with that sound on it. And then once it burns out and somebody else comes out with the new sound, all of a sudden then everybody's doing that. Notice how drill music is everywhere right now. Everybody got a drill song. Everybody got a drill song. When nobody listening to drill songs 5 years ago.
That's because the record labels.
Thank you.
They start
So now
They start profiting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like now all of a sudden now y'all profiting off of drill music. 5 years ago, y'all was profiting off of twerk music. 10 years ago, y'all was profiting off of dance music and snap music. Like it's like now it's like, so what's gonna be the next trend that like all the girls pop on or like all the dudes pop on and get their record off of that song? It sucks because it does make you wonder, where do the people who usher in those types of sounds get left at? Because we had like, there was a conversation that E40 was having a while back about how like he felt like he doesn't get the credit that he deserves because people just kind of jumped on hyphy music and then just left him in the dust once it was over with. But he's still like an incredible artist. And I was like, there's a conversation to be had about that. Do these people who kind of bring in these sounds feel like people maximize off of a sound and then just leave them in the dust? What does Sean Paul think about that? You know what I mean? Because he brought in dance hall and took it to a whole nother level. And now the dance hall is over. We don't hear nothing about Sean Paul or his mohawk.
The thing about that is, it's not about what the artists feel. It's about the people, the fans. And I know it's messed up, but the fans don't care about none of what we talking about as far as trends. They don't care about trends. They care about, oh, I like this song. I can dance to this. When that trend is over, it doesn't matter who the next artist is, as long as they like it and they mamas and grandmamas can get on TikTok and they can dance to it and they can have a good time. And that's what they doing. But as artists, it starts with the artist. But at the end of the day, I can feel a certain way about, oh man, gangster rap with Pac, NWA, early 2000s, 50 Cent, G Unit. That then kind of left us. OMG, oh my God, I'm all bent out of shape. But there's like millions and billions of other streams of new music out now. So I can be left in the dust or I can stay with the times. So it's one of those things that it's not perfect, but it is what it is. It's the environment, it's the culture we live in, The same way with with movies, with comedy. You look at comedy. Comedy ain't what it used to be. Comedy is dying. It's not trendy to get on a comedy special and talk about the LGBT community in a negative way. Back in the 90s, when you had Eddie Murphy and all of them, and they said those things, it was funny. They made money off of it. But the times has changed. Same way with music. And that's why I believe hip hop will continue to grow. There were some times where we looked at hip hop where we had that little dancing moment, the lean with it, rock with it, the Laffy Taffy. We had the Soldier Boy. We had that whole little era. And you had the old heads was like, man, hip hop is going down to hip hop. But then you look at to the mid 2000s, 2009-ish, 2012, you had people like the J. Cole's, the Kendrick Lamar's, the Schoolboy Q's. You had the people that come and kind of rescue hip hop for a small amount of time. And then still the same frame and that same gap, you start getting people like the Migos. You start getting these groups and stuff like that. So then it started trickling down. And then boom, you have the Chief Keefs and then drill music started. So it's all about growing. It's all about adapting. Do I agree with some of the music? I don't agree with drill music, but it has its place in hip hop. Unfortunately, it's something we're gonna grow out of, and hopefully we grow out of it soon because we're losing a lot of brothers out here.
Tell me about it. Like, I hate opening up Instagram at this point because it's like it seems like every other day or every day it's like somebody else done passed, somebody else done died, somebody else done been shot, somebody else done been robbed, somebody else done got stabbed, somebody else done this. Like it's too normalized. Like, and I really want this whole the whole glorification part of the negative side of hip hop to pass over. Like, I'm tired of people bragging about shooting people. I'm tired of bragging about being drug dealers. I'm tired about people bragging about doing drugs. I'm tired of people glorifying all of that.
That's where
Like,
it
when
came.
can we get over that?
That's where it changed. You know, back in the 90s, it used to be about the drug dealer, you know, how the drug dealer had it. Now the rappers are saying how they are the drug addict. So it changed, and I don't know, which one do you want to take? The one that talks
I
about
would
drug dealer, or the one that talk about being a drug addict? Oh,
I would rather both of y'all grow the fuck up
but
because we just celebrated 50 years of hip hop. Like, when's the elevation past all of that?
exactly.
And like, when are we gonna get to Jay-Z's 444 era and start rapping about buying art and like growing as people and going to therapy and shit?
That's Jay.
Like,
That's Jay though. But where's the middle ground between being a drug dealer and a drug addict? The drug dealer will take a Biggie Smalls, and a drug addict we would take a little Future, or
mhm.
Future. If you exclude both of these artists from different generations and you look at middle artists, who who can you point to and say we're gonna get behind him?
I just
Because
need a gray area. Like, I need
even
a gray area.
even if you take Drake, Drake don't talk about being a drug dealer, but he talk about enough alcohol with women. He talks about enough of that.
My middle ground is Childish Gambino personally, but he don't want to rap no more. So there you go.
That's what I'm
He off
saying.
doing TV. So he off doing TV. Like, so it's like, well, who else do we have? Rhapsody. Y'all don't treat her right. Y'all don't treat Rhapsody right. Honey, y'all
Let me
don't give her the strings and ain't not ultimate that doggone she deserves. Like, I don't know.
let
It's
me
sad.
ask you this though.
Sure.
What era of music do you think was the best? And I have an unpopular opinion. Was
Mm.
it the 1990s to 2000, or 2000 to 2010? Which one would you take as far as music in general?
Is there a specific criteria or is it just based on my own personal?
It based off of like R&B, hip hop. Maybe you can throw a little pop in there, dance, but just off those criterias, R&B, hip hop. You know, just giving examples. 1990s, you had NWA, you had Jay, you had Nas. Uh,
I
you
have
had
two answers to that question because I feel like the quality of music was better in the 90s to the 2000s. I feel like the acknowledgement and the success was better in the 2000s to the 2010s. Um, that's not to take away from, like, I'm not saying that the music was bad in the 2000s to the 2010s because I feel like that was my generation's party era. Like, that was my generation's party era. That was when we got some of, like, that was when we got all of the freak that was my generation's Freaknik era.
mine's
That
too.
was us getting our like Nelly and all of them girls, like that was our Uncle Luke Freaknik era. You know what I'm saying?
Well, look,
So, but I just feel like the music that I replay the most comes from the 90s to the 2000s. Now, the music that I hear most when I go out in the public is from the 2000s to the 2010s.
right. And I looked at it like this. Me and my boy Gary Thomas. Shout out to Gary Thomas in Houston, Texas. He's an artist.
Shout out.
I say the 2000s to 2010s, only because I grew up in that era. Yeah, I was born in the 90s. I was born in the 90s, but I grew up in the 2000s where
Same.
you had the Nellies, you had the Ludacris, and I'm not even talking about them. We talking about this is when T.I. came out,
Mm-hmm.
and Jeezy, Pretty Ricky had a run I've never seen before. Uh,
Crazy.
Chris Brown came out. Chris Brown had some
Amazing.
greatest work. Rihanna had some of her greatest work. Beyonce and Jay, and let's not forget, R. Kelly's from the 90s, but some of R. Kelly's greatest music is from the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Um, thousands was really, really hot. You had Ja Rule, 50 Cent. Let's not get on Ja Rule. Ja
He's my
Rule,
favorite male rapper.
Ja Rule,
Ja
female
and Lil
Ashanti,
Chris are the ones for me.
they wrecked havoc. The whole crew did. And DMX, I mean, the 2000s was hot. I mean, you look at the 90s. Yeah, the 90s was great. The 90s was good. But who really ran the 90s? Pop, Biggie? Yeah, Nas and them, Jay towards the end. DMX, he had a double album, and it went really, really well. Great, actually. But I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
you look at the thousands, we haven't even talked about Wayne yet. We haven't even talked about Plies. We haven't even talked about a lot of these people like Soldier Boy who revolutionized the internet and how he was doing stuff. Kanye. I mean, the 2000s was lit. But
It is.
that's
Well, I mean, sure. Like I acknowledge the public consumption uh, of hip hop. That that's more so why I was saying that the reception of hip hop in the 2000s was so much better because like it was just the explosion happened, right? I think for
because of
me,
fashion. Because of fashion.
right. And for me, what I'm still listening to today on a regular basis comes from what I grew up listening to. Like, mind you, I grew up in the 2000s culture. So that was all fresh and new to me. So all of those are like my favorites, but I'm still listening to
Absolutely.
Ice Cube. I'm still listening to MC Light. I'm still listening to Buster's records in the 90s. I'm still listening to early Twista. I'm still listening to them today. So I don't pick one or the other. It's more so like, well, where are we listening to these records? Because if I'm in my car, I'm still listening to How Do You Want It? You know what I'm saying? But if
Right.
I got the aux cord at the party, I'm playing Sweatsuit by Nelly.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
I
for me,
got
it's more so about, well, where are we playing these records at?
I feel that. I feel that. I see what you're saying. Time and place. You got any more questions for me?
I have plenty, but I love the conversation. So, in just a general sense, talk to me about how you came up with the stage name Don YC. How did we land on that? Because I didn't want to bring up your government name on this, but it's not your Don is not your government. So, without doxing you, how did we get to Don YC?
All right. All right. I'm gonna be real with this one, okay? I was sitting on the steps one day, in a hood where there's a gang called the Boot Hills. Originated in California, and in Oklahoma, you got some people out there, Boot Hills and 10th Avenues and stuff like that, and Prince Hall. That's what neighborhood my twin brother is from. He's from Boot Hill. His name is C Style. He's in prison, and he's doing some time. So we're sitting on the steps. We basically running the neighborhood as young boys, doing our thing. We going into stores and stealing stuff for the older people, selling cigarettes by the singles. We running stuff, and I was always making the most money out of all the young kids. I was always doing the most because I wanted to stand out. Now that got me in trouble, but one point, a OG came up to me. His name was Face. He's from neighborhood Crip, and he looked at me. He said, "Hey, I'm gonna name you Lil Competition because you always competitive. You gonna outbeat everybody." So I was like, okay. So years down the line, that name transformed from Little Comp to Young Comp. So when it became Young Comp, when I was in high school, everybody called me Little Comp, Young Comp. It kind of morphed after I graduated in 2013. It morphed to YC instead of Young.
Mm,
They start calling me YC, YC, YC. And during that time, I was doing some things in the streets. I was calling shots, and people would come to me for favors. I was never about that violence. Although I can take it there, I got a new song where I say a bar: if you're a black man, you can never be my opponent. But don't get it twisted. There are some niggas that deserve to get twisted, if that makes sense. Come up and on the block, bet nobody miss them. Like, basically what I'm saying is I was that dude, but I wasn't with all that black on black. I wasn't with but if you needed something, I'm gonna fix your problem. Your man is I'm gonna get somebody on him. So then it kind of morphed into Don. So then, and in this period in my life, I actually stopped rapping. So I was actually, I was working a regular 9 to 5, but I was still dangling in the streets, still giving people loans, still people doing stuff. And, it was the craziest thing because people would never pay me back. So I was just putting the bill. So that word Don came in once I started doing a lot in my community, negative and positive. So that's where that name came from. And when I went to the studio, I started telling them, hey, my name Young Comp, blah, blah, blah. And they was like, all right, yeah. But then they go to my social media and everybody's calling me Don YC, Don YC. I had an engineer by the name of Jay West from Black World Order. He was like, hey, man, you want to build a brand, you need to stick with one of those names. It's either Young Comp or it's Don YC. You need to stick with one because you're going to have to be able to do marketing and promo. You can't have two names. So I stuck with Don YC.
Okay. Totally dig that. Now, if you could name one of your songs that would allow my audience to instantly get to know you, what would it be?
Instantly know me. As in my style of music or know me as a person?
Like, if you could, what would be the song that you would recommend to my audience to be like the introduction to you? Like, if we had one song that would be your first impression, what would be that record that you would tell us to listen to be like, hey, if you want to know who Don YC is, listen to this one?
I would go with Mama Don't Cry. It's on all streaming platforms. Don YC, Mama Don't Cry. All my music is on all streaming platforms. But I actually have a music video to this song, Mama Don't Cry. And it's talking about my upbringing and stuff like that. But that'll be the song. The next song I would say would be I'm Wrong and I'm Wrong Part 2, both of them. 1A, 1B. Because on one side, on Mama Don't Cry, it talks about, living this way, living that way. Dad wasn't there. Mama don't cry. I got my gun on me. She say school in the morning. I say I'm hungry. I say mama don't cry. Mama don't cry. Watch the news every night. Hope a son don't get shot. TD Jakes on the screen. Only channel we got. And if I gotta say it now, then I love you a lot. You see what I'm saying? So growing up, my mom was a single mom. She used to watch TD Jakes a lot. And we didn't have cable. So I mixed that bar to say that was the only channel we got. Not to say that was the only channel we got, but that was the only channel we could watch because we was always struggling. And my mama wanted to hear the word. She wanted that light at the end of the tunnel. So Mama Don't Cry would explain my life a little bit. But when you start getting into some of my pop rap, I'm Wrong Part 2, when I'm talking about women, the way I've done them, the way I treated them wrong, I'm sorry. I wasn't the best man. And you put those 2 songs or 3 songs together, you kind of get an image of what type of music I make just off those 3 songs. But I have a lot of songs.
I dig that. If you could remake a classic song or one of your favorite songs growing up, what would it be?
Okay. Have you heard that song, Mr. Telephone Man?
Absolutely.
I got a remake coming to that.
Nice.
I can play a snippet, but I don't know.
Just save it. When's the release date?
It's no release date because I gotta go get the licensing for doing the cover songs. I gotta go get a license for doing the cover songs on DistroKid, and that's not my main priority right now. But I'm gonna drop maybe 3 or 4 more singles in the next few weeks, And then Mr. Telephone Man remake is gonna come, and it's nothing like the original, but I still have the hook, and I'm kind of rapping along, but I'm putting my own sauce on it. But the verse is very rated R.
Okay.
Very. So yeah, about the next 4 releases, I'm gonna actually release a video of me in the studio rapping Mr. Telephone Man. It's really good, really good.
Nice. I'm looking forward to it. How will your music change the industry?
My music would change the industry because I'm doing things that a lot of artists is not doing. Well, you have a little bit of Drake, you do a little bit of singing, you do a little, but what I do is I do a lot of harmonizing, and I do a lot of hard rap. And when I rap, I make you feel like you're there. I'm not spitting the most greatest bars, greatest lyrics. I'm not doing all these metaphors. I'm saying stuff that when you hear it, like, TD Jakes on the screen, only channel we got. And if I gotta say it now, then I love you a lot. Dude talking to his mom, stuff like that. I remember living in a hotel, mom's trying to make a way. Pops locked in prison. Murder one wasn't very safe. So I ride with my Smith and Wesson, getting robbed for my weed, had to learn a lesson. Like stuff like that. People like, he getting robbed, he had a single mom, stuff like that that's close to people that came up in urban areas and in backgrounds that I come from, will be able to listen to that and be like, yeah, I heard that. And then in my music, I'm not talking about all this. I'm gonna shoot you in the face. I'm gonna kill this dude. I might allude to certain stuff, but it's only in the acts of don't fuck with me. I won't fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't take my kindness for weakness. You know what I'm saying? Because we all just out here trying to get it. Don't try to get one up on me, and don't try to run off on me. So that's how I would change the industry.
I love that. What do you think you fear most, success or failure?
My failures was unfortunate, but man, it made me stronger. You know what I mean? And I tell a lot of people, honestly, you really haven't failed until you quit. If I would have looked at my first failure, we wouldn't be having this interview. I wouldn't have did all this new music. I wouldn't have shot my music video. I wouldn't have my own studio, my own green screen, my own cameras, my own lighting. I would have been given up. So do I fear the idea of fear? Yeah. Or failure? Do I fear the idea of failure? Yeah. But once you get through it, it's about how you get through it. Once you get through it, it's like, yeah, I learned from that. But no, I really don't fear a lot of stuff in this world, because you only get one life. You get one life, and how you live that life. Do you want to live scared, or do you want to live comfortable? And a lot of, oh man, humble yourself. Humble yourself for what? For your insecurities? Why does it bother you to hear me say, man, I got a promotion today. Man, I'm the best at what I do. Man, I did this, this, and that. I put this person in that position. I did this for him, did that for them. I didn't ask for nothing and then they cut you off. Man, we don't want to hear that. Don't nobody care about that. Humble yourself. Don't be confident. Like, no. Why does hearing about my success bother you? That's the definition of a hater. When I hear people say, man, I did that. Hey, man, congratulations. What can I do to help? What can I do to help you get even further? Matter of fact, I want to be a part of this. I don't even got to be the leader. I just want to ride with you, brother. You see what I'm saying? But a lot of people live their life fearing and scared, not me. I don't live my life like that. So to answer your question, man, I'm just happy I'm waking up at this point. Everything that I've been through, brother in prison, older brother went to prison, daddy was in prison, my uncle died 2 days ago. My brother Gary Thomas, he's at his grandpa's funeral today in Dallas. I mean, life is too short. You know what I mean? And do I have bad days? Yeah. But to say, what do I fear and what scares me the most? I don't think I can name anything, because I'm gonna keep living.
Absolutely. My condolences, by the way.
Appreciate it.
Of course. Do you think you found yourself yet?
Um, I think I'm still growing. I'm always growing. But have I found myself? I know I found my sound in music, but on a more personal level, I don't believe I found myself from a father standpoint. I want to be a better father. You know, that's the only thing that I really look at and say I need to be better at. And I haven't found my way with being the best father that I can be. Um, I just need to get better at that. But as far as music and doing it, man, I found myself. You know, I like my sound. I love my sound. I'm getting better. And yeah, I found myself, and I'm just on a rhythm right now. I got this momentum, and I'm gonna use it. But on a personal level, I can grow as a man. I can grow and teach myself how to treat women better, treat my mother better when she calls and needs something. You know, instead of bringing up stuff from the past, like, oh, you didn't do this for me and you didn't do that for me. Maybe sometimes I need to say, Mom, you did the best thing you could. You did the best you could. I know you need a little help. Here you go. You know, I can grow as a man, and find myself as a man. But musically, I think I got it down pat.
I love that. So, what does the man that you've become today tell your younger self in retrospect? What do you tell, what does Don YC today tell yourself at 5 years old?
There's two things. The first, take accountability of everything that you do. Responsible, even if it wasn't your fault. If you go into a situation, and this is me telling my younger self, if you go into a situation and it don't work out the way you want it to work, and it was because of somebody else or even you got to look at it. What did I do wrong? How could I have made this entire situation better? That's what I would tell my younger self. My younger self was always, man, y'all messing up. You didn't do this right. You didn't do that right. But I never looked at myself and said, what did I do? What could I have done? The second thing, and this is music. Um, don't get a management team too early. Uh,
Mm,
number two, learn the business of music. Learn what is the average cost for a manager. Normally 10%. If it's really a really good manager, industry manager, they may ask for more than 10%. Get a lawyer, even if it's not your lawyer. Pay someone to look over your contracts. Number three, learn ASCAP, learn BMI, learn how to publish your own music, learn the difference between what is leasing, what is ownership and exclusive. Um, Learn all this music, learn the music business before you want to go out into this world and do music. Because I have young artists come to me every day since we've been on the stream blowing me up. Feature this, feature that. Can we do this? Can we do that? Absolutely. I don't charge for features. Let's do the song. I can write for days. But then it gets to a point where, hey, what's your IPI number? What is that? You don't know what IPI? Okay, this is how you get paid. This is how you get your royalties. This is what you do. This is how we're gonna distribute it. Oh, I don't got that set up. You know what I'm saying? So these young artists, they need to understand you got to learn the business first. You got to do what works for you. And I was
mm,
having an argument with my buddy because he's young, you know, he's talking about, oh, but you doing this and you leasing your beats and doing that. I'm saying, yeah, I'm doing unlimited leasing. I mean, I got unlimited streaming abilities. If I was to go to the exclusive route, let's look at the cost. We're looking at buying a beat for about $1,000, 500. If the producer's really good, you're looking at $1,500 to $2,000 just to
mm,
get the exclusive rights. Now, we haven't even gotten to the recording cost. We haven't even got into the mixing and mastering cost. People just don't understand that aspect. For one song, you already looking at about $3,000 to $4,000 just getting a song and making it. 4,000.
mhm,
Then you need a cover art. You need to push it to DistroKid or United Masters or whoever you go through, TuneCore, whatever, right? You got to pay for that fee. Then you got to get the cover art. You got to pay somebody for that, or you got to know how to do it. You need a music video. And then what else do you need? You need marketing and promo. You got to pay for promo. You got to pay for campaign. We're talking about one song. One song. And I always tell artists, I do what I do because it worked for me. Do what's best for you and work for you. If you want to go buy a $1,500, $2,000 beat and wait 6 months just to start promoting it, then albeit. Or I can do what I do. I do my leasing. I get what I get out of the song. It's unlimited. Whenever the contract's up in a year, 2 years, I go back and I pay that $35. If the song blows up, granted, the producer, he have more leverage. He see that the song's blowing up. He might say, hey, I want 50,000. I'm gonna give it to him. But that's the risk I have to take. And that's the risk I'm willing to take right now. I want that upfront organic growth. That's what I want. So I would tell my younger self, learn the business. Learn it. You need to know the business.
Nice. Now, what do you think your stamp on the music industry is going to be in the long haul?
My stamp? I don't know. I think the stamp would be, look at this kid out of Oklahoma, out of the Midwest, someone who's never did it, out of Oklahoma on a major platform, all social medias, doing his thing. He's the king of the Midwest. I want to be the king of the Midwest. I want it to be known that I'm the king of the Midwest. We haven't had an artist really in the Midwest for a long time to really just mainstream. Like when I say mainstream, I'm like Drake, Wayne, Nicki. You know, that's what kind of stamp I want to put on the industry. This guy is the king of the Midwest, and we didn't see him coming. That's what I want to put a stamp on the industry.
What keeps you up at night?
I work a lot of hours. That keep me up at night. What keeps me up at night, and this is what I would tell other artists, is every song that you make. I want, if y'all didn't take nothing from this interview, take this. Not every song is not going to be a hit. Every song is not going to be a hit. When you're making an EP, LP, mixtape, album, whatever, you want to put your best foot forward, but you also need to understand that there are going to be songs on the album that they're just there. They might be such and such like that song, such and such like. There's a good amount of people that like that song, but your hit song, we already know a lot of people love it because it's a hit. But you still need those songs that even if it's not the best song in the world, you need to understand that it's not a hit and you need to get your point across, but you need to get your point across to your core fan base, not the mainstream fan base, your core fan base. That's why when you look at artists like Papoose, you look at artists like Sauce Walker, you look at those kind of artists, they got really good songs on the albums. But from song to song, they are talking to their core organic fan base who really wants to listen to them. Those are the songs that attract that core base. They might have a few songs on there that's mainstream, but that's what keep me up at night is I might do a song and I'm like, man, really didn't do a good job on that song, man. And I'm stressing about this song. Don't stress about that song. Move on. Keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. You might even get in a slump where you write the next 5 songs you do, you just like, man, damn, am I not meant for this? No, just keep doing it. That is what keep me up at night. And I got to fix that.
Totally agree with that. Me being a perfectionist, I completely relate to that.
Absolutely.
Completely relate to that. Is there anything that you want to share with my audience and I that I didn't cover in our conversation today?
Yeah, I mean, I have a new album coming late June. NKOS, New Kid Old School. Kind of like what we talked about, that 1990s to 2000s. You know, I'm a new kid, but I got an old school sound. You know, some of my songs on this new album, you're gonna listen to it and be like, damn, is that, dang, that sound like a LL kind of flow, but it's my sound. So it's kind of like, no, that ain't LL. That's Don YC. Because LL wouldn't have said that. LL wouldn't have did this. Ice Cube wouldn't have did that. Ice Cube wouldn't have did that. There's only one person that can make that sound. That's Don YC. So that's why I call it New Kid Old School, because I'm a new kid, but I'm old school. So this album is gonna be really, really good. And I will tell you this: in between that time, I'm dropping singles, and I will drop a mixtape because I'm not that foolish to. I'm not Kendrick Lamar. No, I can't wait 5 years and then do it now. I can't do that. I'm not Cole or nobody. I'm not in that realm. But I will say I can't not be dropping music in this time. You know, you look at it, it's what, February? This is a great time for any artist because from February until May, you got that time to really be making your music, making your music, making your music. Summertime comes, to start doing mass promo, putting all your little money towards. I don't care if you work for UPS, Walmart, you pushing baskets. You need to be making music and you need to be saving money. When the summertime comes, you need to start promoting your music and putting every single dollar you got. And I would I would say this last thing is, there was times I went broke. There was times where I was like, man, do I want to pay this light bill? Or do I want to make a payment arrangement? I pay it next week, but this week I'm gonna use that 120, that 130, and I'm gonna do a Facebook campaign. Boom, 2,000 views on one of my promo videos, all organic. Yeah, I was late on my bill, but my lights didn't get cut off. But then between that week, I'm not saying I live in paycheck to paycheck, but when you are an independent artist, I got rent, I got lights, I got water, I got car, I got insurance, I got life insurance, I got health insurance for my daughter, like all this stuff I gotta pay. I'm not rich yet. So I still have to balance. If I didn't have music, I'd be balling right now. But my music is everything to me. I put a lot of money in my music. And I would tell that young artist that's listening to me right now, there are going to be times that that higher calling of somebody up above is going to test you. It's going to be feeling like somebody's like, man, is this a test? Is this a test?
You
And
ain't lying.
you start seeing great results. I done did songs with some dude named Lucci Guns out of Arizona. He set to drop that. Dude had a really good fan base. I'm waiting on that. Another future with a guy up in Houston named Bam Bam. I mean, these opportunities come to me because I spend this money and people are able to see me. It was the same way you were able to see me. You know, it was probably from an ad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I'm doing is putting my money towards it. And I'm gonna tell artists this: you don't have to put a lot of money behind this stuff. Just be consistent. $10 here, $10 there. And damn, you might have one week where you're like, man, I got it like that. I'm gonna put $80. $80 gonna be my budget, and I'm gonna put it towards these 2 songs right here. And I'm gonna promote behind it. But that's where I'm gonna leave that at. That's all I had to add extra.
I love that. So, in closing, what is next for you, and where can the people find you and all of the things that you want to promote coming up?
Where you can find me is Don YC Music, Facebook Don YC, Instagram, Don YC _NC. I'm on all Spotify, Apple Music, Boomplay. I'm on all major platforms. Well, what's next for me is continuing to grow, making music. I'm actually, once we get off of here, I'm about to record 2 songs, and I'm actually going to drop probably 2 of those in the next few days. I really don't want to drop it on a Monday, so it might come like next Friday, to tell you the truth. But I will tell you this, what's next for me, I have a song and I'm gonna give y'all a sneak peek. It's called Eviction.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I think my career is going to take a turn, is I'm putting every single artist in the Midwest area, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, everybody in this area, you're getting evicted. There's a new king in town, and it's me. And this song is some of the best lyrics I've ever written. So that's what's coming next. That's what's coming down the pipeline. And best believe I am going to promote the shit out of this song. I'm gonna put everything I have in this song.
I am looking forward to that. That is awesome.
Absolutely.
Congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
Of course. Now, on that note, children, I'm going to let Mr. YC go. I'm sure he has things to do, songs to record, checks to cash, things to do, plaques to hang. But I appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in to help me to facilitate this conversation. And I want to extend a special, special thank you to my guest, Don YC, for blessing the pod today. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. This has been an incredible conversation. I've been loving having more hip hop oriented conversations. So this has been a great one for me. I really appreciate it. Feel free to come back anytime once a new song drops, a new project drops. Once you start passing out eviction notices, come back and let me know.
I will. And whenever you drop this this episode, this podcast, just you got my cell number in the email. Both emails work. Just email, let me know. I help you do some promo.
Thanks so much. The episode is actually coming out March 2nd.
Okay. I'll be looking for it.
Sweet. Thank you so much. Now, with that being said, I want to remind all of you guys listening to be real, stay in reality, and always, always bring the realness. I am Brian K. James. This has been Real Reality Realness. And until next time, I love every single one of you guys from the bottom of my green heart emoji. Keep the mess in the message and misbehave yourselves. Peace. Bye, guys.